What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome back to Writer's Life Wednesdays, where we come together to help you make your story matter and make your author dreams come true. Today's video is a bit special because it's not the usual writing video, but it's something that's really important to me. It's something that I've been wanting to talk about so much. How I make plans and organize my goals for the new year. So before I went on my end of year hiatus for 2019, I mentioned that I would be doing a lot of planning and goal setting and prioritizing my goals and figuring out what goals I'm going to tackle in 2020. And so many of you guys were like, can you please make a video about that? And you know me, I can't resist making a video about that. Making plans and setting goals is literally my favorite thing after writing. So that is what today's video is all about, how I take my big list of ambitious goals and turn them into an action plan for the new year. So if you ever struggle to set goals, make plans, prioritize what's important to you, stick to healthy habits, and make your dreams come true, this video is for you.
Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true.
Okay, so before we talk about goals, we have to talk about the reason why we make goals. We set goals and habits because we think that we are going to get something good out of them. More specifically, good feelings that bring us closer to our idea of happiness. Here's the thing, your brain is hungry for dopamine. On a biological level, we are all pleasure seekers. We all want to be happy, right? That's what we talk about on this channel with writing. Your characters want to be happy, and that's why they make goals, because they think this thing will bring them closer to their idea of happiness. And if your character has no goal, no reason behind the goal, no feeling that they think will bring them closer to happiness, then you need to rewrite your story. A character without a goal is like a ship without a sail. There's no direction, there's no motivation, there's no end result. And the same goes for you. If you have no goal, no motivation, no sense of direction, no end result that you're trying to achieve, then your life will never change because you don't desire improvement. We all have different definitions of happiness, okay? Different recipes for happiness, different words that when we hear them, we think happiness. For you, that word might be free or successful or safe or loved or strong. Figure out what your words are for this year. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel in 2020? Really take the time to slow down, write this in a notebook, really think about it, and let your heart and soul speak to you. This is going to give you a very clear definition of happiness, and it's going to enable you to align your goals with what really matters to you. See, as you're setting your goals, it's important to think about psychology and how your brain processes thought, because the end game for your brain is a feeling. Quick example, let's say you want to get promoted. Okay, why do you want to get promoted? Because your skills in another position would greatly benefit the company? Because you literally will not be able to survive without the extra money? Because based on statistical evidence, you should have been promoted by now, and it is technically unfair that you're still in the same position? No. You don't give a crap about the company or statistical evidence, and you probably also won't die if you don't get that raise in your paycheck. You want to get promoted because of how it will make you feel to be in that new position, how it'll make you feel to make more money this year, how it'll make you feel to make progress and climb the ladder. It will say something about you as a person, and that will make you feel good. Every single thing we do is driven by the desire for a good feeling. So before we start setting any goals, we have to figure out our feelings. Take the time to make this list and really be honest with yourself about your definition of happiness. There really is no right or wrong. What's important to you might not be important to the person next to you, and that's totally okay. This is your life. Once you finish making that list of feelings that you want to invite into your life this year, we can move on to the real step one of my goal setting process. I begin by writing down everything I want to do like ever. Literally everything I can possibly think of. Doesn't matter if it's realistic or if it's happening this year or maybe even next year. I do like to think ahead, like really far ahead. So I usually make a list of things that I can foresee myself doing in like the next 5 years. Don't be afraid to be super ambitious with this list, okay? Dream big, because you can do anything that you set your mind to. And even if nobody believes in you in your real life, who cares? I believe that you can do it. After I finish making this list of big, ambitious goals, it's time to clarify them. And that basically means figuring out realistically how many of them I can actually do this year. This is always the tricky part for me because I tend to overestimate how much I can do. That's actually a habit that I'm working on breaking this year. And we're gonna talk about habits a little bit at the end of this video. But first, take your big list of ambitious goals and ask yourself, how much of this can I realistically do this year? Also ask yourself, what is the logical next thing to work on? For instance, if you're looking at this big list of goals and one of these projects is obviously more of a year 2 or year 3 thing, then just don't do that one this year. Don't choose that one to do this year. Usually just by glancing at your list of big ambitious goals, you can kind of tell what sequential order they will go in. Once I have my list of goals that I want to work on this year, it's usually still way too long because I have this problem with taking on way too much. And if you're anything like me, you find it really hard to just ask yourself, which ones are most important to me? My response is always, all of them. I mean, I wouldn't have put it on the list if it wasn't important to me. I've discovered that I need a better system to figure out which goals are most important to me. Guess what this system involves? Oh yeah, making more lists. First, a list of the emotional impact that these goals will have on my life. Second, a list of the physical and or financial impact these goals will have on my life. It's important to make the emotional impact list first because to me that's the most important thing. Being happy, because the way you feel is going to translate over into every single area of your life. So grab your list of goals and make a new list. I recommend making this list on a computer, and you'll see why in a minute. Right at the top of the page, how will it make me feel to then copy over your goals one at a time, and under each goal, you're going to write a short description of the emotional impact that accomplishing this goal will have on your life. For example, write a new book. Satisfied and confident that I had the perseverance to write a meaningful story and turn my ideas into an actual book that I can share with the world one day. Be brutally honest with how exactly accomplishing each of these goals will make you feel. Then, once you're finished with that, you're going to scroll down this list and highlight all the goals black or whatever color the text is so that you can't see them. Now you see why I told you to make this list on a computer. This might seem weird, but just do it because the next step is to look at the list of feelings that you wrote without the goals that go with them. This way you can figure out which goals are the most important to you based on which feelings are most important to you. Reference that very first list we made, the list of feelings that you want to invite into your life this year, the feelings that you think of and you think happiness. How do these lists match up? Where do they match up? What emotional impact descriptions stand out to you and make your heart go, I need that. Listen to your intuition on this, okay? And go through your list of emotional impact descriptions and highlight all of the ones that really stand out to you as something you desperately want in your life. You'll notice that you don't highlight all of them, and that doesn't mean that all these goals aren't important to you. Of course they're important to you, but there are probably only a handful of feelings that your soul desperately needs right now. So highlight those and don't unmask your goals yet, okay? We're not done. We're going to move on to the second list, which is the physical and or financial benefit impact of these goals. You're going to write at the top of the page, what are the physical and financial benefits of these goals? Then copy over your goals one at a time, like you did for the emotional impact page. Then under each goal, write 2 lines, physical benefits, financial benefits. Then go through your list, same as before, and be really honest with yourself about how exactly accomplishing this goal will physically and financially impact your life. For example, writing the next book. Write the next book. Physical benefits, add another great book to my inventory. Financial benefits, future book sales. Although it might feel kind of superficial to just be concentrating on the financial and physical benefits of accomplishing your goals, it's a really important part of the prioritization process because you need to be practical in order to support yourself. You might have some goals that don't line up. So some goals that have a great emotional benefit for you, but they don't have any financial benefit for you. And depending on your situation and where you are in your business and your life, you might have to take those things into consideration. So it's important to look at both sides of this. So when you finish writing out your tangible benefits for accomplishing your goals, you're gonna do the same thing as before. You're gonna scroll up through these goals and just black out the titles. Then highlight the benefits that really stand out to you, the ones that your body is like, I need that. And finally, here comes the fun part. Unmask your goals. Unhighlight the titles so that you can see which goals go to which feelings and physical and financial benefits. Then take your time examining how they line up or don't. There will absolutely be a few that lined up completely, okay? You highlighted the emotional impact and you highlighted the physical and financial impact, and you're like, I need this in both categories. These few goals are the ones that are really important to you, okay? They are your priorities. So move them to the top of your list of goals for this year. Italicize them, bold them, underline them, make them your priorities, okay? So now you have your list of priorities and your list of goals that are also important to you, but it's not the end of the world if you don't do them right away. The next step in my goal setting process is to break down my year into seasons. You probably heard me talk about seasons of life before. This will be different for everybody, but for me, a season is usually 3 months. So I'll break down my year into quarters. And guess what's happening in my first quarter? Yeah, I'm working on my priority goals, and I highly recommend you do the same. And then I'll take my not as important but still important to me goals and just spread them out over the other seasons of my year. Basically, I try to imagine ahead of time what these different seasons of my year will feel and look like. Some projects pair well together and others not so much. But the cool thing about seasons of life is that you'll know when a season changes because you will just feel it. It will feel different. And when that season changes, you'll have a better, clearer understanding of what you should be working on next. So I don't worry too much about what's happening in the fourth quarter of my year because I know what's happening in the first quarter. I have a very clear vision for the first quarter, and that's really all that matters. This year I've been using the Artist of Life workbook by Lavender to plan my year. I love Eileen's videos, so I decided to give the workbook a try this year, and I'm so glad I did. I'm usually really disappointed by other yearly planners because they just don't ask the right questions and they leave me feeling kind of aimless and overly ambitious. But the Artist of Life workbook is so awesome. It really helps you to clarify and see the reason why your goals matter to you. I would totally recommend this workbook, and I'll leave the link to the Lavender shop in the description box below so that you can check it out as well. So one of the many things I love about the Artist of Life workbook is how it breaks down your big goals into action steps. What are all the steps involved in making this big goal happen? You need to figure that out in order to get really specific about your goals and actually make them happen. Dreams don't just magically come true, okay? You have to put in the work. And in order to put in the work, you have to have a clear idea of what it is you're even doing. So take the time to write out action steps for each of your goals. And even better, if you can make a deadline that you have to get this action step done by this certain date. I also get super specific about my habits because habits need to be super specific. If you say you're going to drink more water or work out more often, that is not specific enough. Instead, make it something like drink 64 ounces of water per day, or practice 30 minutes of yoga per day, and use a habit tracker to keep track of your habits, or a calendar, and hold yourself accountable. Habits are a topic for 1,000 different videos, so I'll try to keep this super brief. One of my absolute favorite books that I read in 2019 was Atomic Habits by James Clear. Literally, this is the only book I have ever listened to as an audiobook and loved it so much that I got a hardcover version. I love this book so much. In Atomic Habits, Clear talks about how there are 4 laws of behavior change: making a habit obvious, making a habit attractive, making a habit easy, and making a habit satisfying. He also talks about methods like habit stacking, which you've probably heard of before. Basically, you tag a new habit onto the end of something that you already habitually do. If you already have a morning and an evening routine, then try adding your new healthy habit into those routines. Because you already have a routine going, you're more likely to stick with and remember to actually do your new habit. For more ideas and insights on habits, just read this book. You will not regret it. Also, remember to review your goals as often as you can, and remember the reason why you chose these goals to accomplish. Go back and read what you wrote in the emotional impact list and the financial and physical benefit list. Remember why you wanted to accomplish these goals in the first place, because they matter to you. Okay, I know we've covered a ton in this video, but I really wanted to share my process with you guys because I feel like it might help you. It's helped me so much with finding clarity and setting meaningful and attainable goals for the new year. So let's recap that monster of a process. Step 1, list the feelings you want to invite into your life this year. Step 2, write down literally everything you want to do. Step 3, figure out what you can realistically do this year, the logical first thing to work on. Step 4, uncover your most important goals by making a list of their emotional impact, then making a list of their physical and financial benefit. Step 5, break down your big projects into seasons or quarters of your year. Step 6, list your specific ideal habits and stack them on top of your current habits, and use a habit tracker to stick to your new habits. Step 7, goal review often, and remember the emotional, physical, and financial impact that these goals have on you and your life. They matter to you. So boom, that's it. That's my yearly goal planning process. I hope it helps you to find clarity and set goals for your new year and create just the most beautiful, happy year you've ever had. Also, if you liked this video, but you were hoping for something a little bit more writing specific, I think you're really gonna like next week's video because that's gonna be all about how to decide what to write next. So I know a lot of you are making your writing plans, like specifically writing plans. And if you're anything like me, you have tons of story ideas and it's a little bit overwhelming to try to figure out which story to write next. So if you're struggling with this at all, next week's video is for you. I'm gonna be breaking down my whole decision-making process and showing you how I decide what to write next. So that's next Wednesday. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Now, it's time for you to talk to me. Comment below and tell me, how do you organize your yearly goals? How do you set goals? How do you prioritize your goals? And if you try out this process, let me know how it went. Smash that like button if you liked this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos and publishing videos every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon because that's where we go beyond videos and take writing to the next level. The Patreon community is not only the best way to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, but it's also the only way to connect one-on-one with me and get better guidance on your story. So go to patreon.com/Abbie Emmons and check out all the awesome extra exclusive content that I have made for you. Until next week, my friend, rock on. Does anyone else love New Year's more than Christmas? I did this weird half winking thing. It wasn't a committed wink. So if you ever struggle Really, Abby? Do we always have to talk about the brain science behind everything? Yes, we do, actually.